Oh,
Yes.
all right, never mind, I'm in. Hold up, girl.
Darren, I think I'm parked next to you today.
Just
Yeah.
kiss her?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Otherwise, it's just a truck, but with the kiss sticker, that's Jared's truck.
That's the giveaway.
They even tried to change the
It's denim day.
Yeah. Yesterday for NCRD, like four of the scholars and Michelle and Nancy all wore jean jackets. I was like,
Really? I missed it. I hope you got a picture of that.
I actually asked for a jean jacket for Christmas and Emily got me one.
Sweet.
But it was like,
returned it.
oh, she got me one with like holes and it was all distressed. I'm like, what am I, 19, like 20s, like, you can call me soda pop? Like, I'm not no like.
That's in right now, it's totally in.
I'm not, it's not a classic.
It was barely any, and it wasn't very visible.
I can't control
Like,
this.
buttons all over the place.
Oh, there.
Like,
For some reason, the mouse keeps getting lost. Oh, it is recording.
It was normal and that.
Emily doesn't know what.
We'll do our best. We'll wait 2 minutes. So everything is going well with the writing retreat? So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Was that a bird?
Yeah.
Oh, that was hard.
I'm heard. I just like the way Lisa says bird. Bird.
Bird.
Bird.
I mean, it's one of the fun bands.
Not theirs.
And it is. They're probably my black.
Your what accent?
Bill. Okay, Bill is short for Bill.
I know what it's short
Okay,
for.
Bill.
I know.
Not B-I-L. It's B-I-L-L. F-Y.
When did I ever say we didn't know what Bill meant?
She's a teacher. She's giving information.
That's not teaching.
McKenna.
That's
What do you know about Bill?
teaching difference.
Bill.
She's an old school
Bill
teacher.
is short for Bill.
See, I was telling her as I was looking at
Yeah.
you and scolding you.
Hey, Monica.
Hello.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah, you look forward to it. Okay, you want to get started, Jen?
Yes.
Oh, so happy. Good morning. Today we're talking about human resources. I hope the recording picked up the groans of affirmation in this room. We're going to try to make it fun for you guys because we too are bored by human resources. But hopefully you'll learn something from it. So today we're going to talk about Jared. I didn't think you would be here today, so I didn't bring any Diet Dr. Pepper. Oh, you have your own. Okay. There is coffee. Please help yourself to that. We're going to talk a little bit first about the decentralized admin model for the School of Public Health. And we'll talk about what we do, Jen and I. And then we'll talk a little bit about several aspects of human resources here through a fun game called Bingo. So we'll use Bingo to cover several topics that we want to cover. And then we may, if we have time, we'll hit on form stack for HR requests. So at the University of Colorado, there's a lot of layers of human resources. So Jen and I are not by any means the keeper of all of the information related to human resources, nor do we do all of the functions. The university has its own central human resources. The campus also has a separate group of people who help with human resources. The School of Public Health has human resources people. And then the School of Public Health has historically had a decentralized model. Decentralized model, meaning that they have not required units and centers at the School of Public Health to go through their human resources. some units and centers have their own human resources and do all of their own functions. And that is how CAIANH has historically been. That we have always had someone who's done our own hiring, separations, retirements, most of the functions related to HR, but we do it in close partnership with especially the School of Public Health to make sure that we're aligned with their processes. So prior leadership in the School of Public Health has been very hands-off. It's been a very decentralized model. We've done most of it and we've just let them know. And in some instances, we haven't even been communicating well with them historically. But now it's much more centralized, I would say, under new leadership. They want processes in place and they want people generally following the same processes. So we're still trying to figure that out. Is honestly, right, Jen, every single time we have to do an HR function, we're learning something new with them. So we try, hey, Amanda. So we're trying to provide the best service possible, but we by no means are the experts. We ask that you all come to us first with these functions, but sometimes we have to ask for help or we just don't do a function. A good example of that would be if someone has to take a leave of absence for FML or something similar, we would want to know about it, but we would send you to the benefits office to do that. We don't do any of that anymore. It used to be that we did it, but we don't do any of it anymore. So that's generally how we work and how you have two people right here in CAIANH who are helping with this. As you all probably know, Jen and I have other jobs other than working on the human resources aspects of this, but this is part of what we try to offer to you all to make life easier. And we're really focused on process, especially since Jen's been on board the last couple of years, really focused on building out onboarding, offboarding, recruitment of faculty, retention efforts. And so Jen gets a lot of credit for building that out so far. All right, over to you.
I really love talking from podiums, so. So basically, Erin and I have kind of split up things in HR. So my role, specifically hiring for new and existing positions, faculty recruitment, which right now obviously is not kind of a thing, but we're trying in the background. Onboarding is one of my roles, promotions, and then performance evals. Erin does all the My Leave stuff. So as you know, all of that stuff gets sent to her. So does the approving and the My Leave stuff, all the funding distributions, payroll, additional pay and MOUs, and retirements and separations. All right, are we? Okay, some of the other things that we do, as you know, so we like to do years of service awards, employee appreciation, which we've been doing more frequently. We have our CAIANH quarterlies. Notes of kindness as something upcoming that we're going to be doing. Milestone celebrations. We have a couple of graduates, just so you know, that are going to be celebrating their graduation. And so we're going to have a little celebration for them I'll send that out on the 28th. Shout outs and recognition. I know we do a lot of that at our quarterlies, but we're going to have another way for people to do that. And then employee awards and recognition submissions. And then also professional development. So mentoring and skill development, and Erin will go into those in detail later. Okay, we're going to play bingo. Yes. Just in time for bingo. All right, so how this is gonna work is we're basically just gonna call like one of the categories that we just went over, and you'll mark it off on your card. And then we'll go and over detail of those categories. And I think we have a couple small prizes.
We do.
So we'll start off. Is Monica the?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I have markers too. You guys want the markers?
Monica, hopefully you can hear us. You can play too. Jen sent you a bingo card.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I got that.
A ton of like electrolytes packet. Right. It was like so that we go back shop.
So Monica, I sent you an email. Hopefully you got it. You should be able to play one of the cards that I sent you an email. If you can hear me.
Shouting into the void.
Yes.
All for HR.
I know.
Who knew? Who knew?
We better leave time for Q&A, I guess. We never know anyone's real motivation for being here, but that's okay. Yes, see, that's my house.
Okay, so we just wanna do one line anyway first, or
Yeah.
what do you wanna do, or do you wanna do? Here. Do we?
Any forward route, any forward route?
Well, they don't have that.
Okay, yeah. Nicole, do you need them?
Yeah, I should hang on to this.
We'll just leave it here. We also have hand sanitizer for you.
Hey, that's what it does is.
Okay, we're gonna start by just doing one line, any 4 in a row. Any 4 in a row. And you know what to say when you get that, right?
I think.
No, you only get a prize if you yell bingo. Okay, let's see. We will start with performance evaluations. Okay, so just a little bit about the performance evaluations. I know that some of you, as we already heard the groans, feel like it's a tedious process, but it really is meant to, have that time with your supervisor, reflect on what you've done throughout the year, make a plan for the next year, provide an opportunity for feedback, comments. So it is really meant to be a useful process. As you know, we start the process every year in December. You meet with your supervisors in January. We get it all wrapped up by February. And then those ratings go to EC. And then, hopefully we get merit increases. Okay, let's see. My leave. Let's see.
My leave. Okay. So everybody here has used My Leave. What you may not know is that when you submit a request, they all come to me for approval. And I'm not approving them as your supervisor. Of course, you have to check with your supervisor before you submit the request. I'm just approving them based on what you have available and if it's appropriately done. So sometimes I've had to email you back and say, could you resubmit this in a different way, or you're taking the wrong number of hours, or did you know you have leave you can take? And so, but usually 99% of the time I can just approve them. I have to go in and do that manually and every time I get them, and certainly by the payroll deadline each month. As a reminder, when you go into My Leave and you submit a vacation leave request, submit it as a request. You have a choice and a drop-down menu there. When you do sick leave, just take it. Just mark it as taken. You don't have to request permission to take sick leave. That's just a reminder. Confusingly, leave is deducted the month after you take it. Makes sense, gives us a little time to enter it into the system since we have to do it manually. If you needed time off on the last day of the month, you wouldn't see that deducted from your leave balance until the following month. My Leave is not accurate. So if you need an accurate, like what you see on your calendar is it's not great. And there's lots of reasons for that. If you need a really accurate representation of the leave you have left, just email me and I can get you exactly what you have for a given month or what you'll have on a given day. We always suggest people keep track of their own leave balances. But there is a new system coming in 2027. It's going to be better. Other units have a much more complicated timekeeping requirements than we do. It's pretty easy for us, but it should be much easier for us to enter leave and keep track of accurately of the leave that we have. One other thing I'll mention is that when we go in, I think I'll talk a little bit about this on payroll too, but you all don't have time cards. You're salaried monthly employees, I think for the most part, but you actually do have a time card. I go in and make your time card. Your time card is really reflective of the leave that you take. So not of your time, you're going to get paid that amount no matter what, but when I do a timesheet for you, it's for your leave. Yeah.
Does it, the leave is deducted in the month after, does that mean that you kind of can borrow from the month, the next month? I know you. Of course I'm asking this question. Or is that not what that means?
It doesn't mean that.
Okay,
No,
got
but yeah, no, it doesn't mean that.
it. Okay.
The way you take leave in June. And it gets debited against July,
Yes.
but that's a new calendar year.
It is a new calendar year, but it only impacts, you have to do a leave certification in August then too. So that's part of the reason why it's screwed up. So real, people who are bumping up against that 352-hour maximum, those are the people, but we project that out way ahead of time. And try to tell people, everybody should, if that's impacts you, you should have received an email, take your leave before June. So,
Way too much.
yeah,
Oh, boy.
take your leave anyway, but okay, you're good.
Do we want to wait? What is that? Yeah, okay. All right, hiring. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the form stack later. I know a couple of you have used it so far. It's new and just developed in the last year. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes for hiring. So for new and existing positions, so most of what we do is hire for new positions most of the time. Existing positions are, you know, if somebody leaves a position, it's gonna be the exact same on the same project, then it's an existing position, which makes things a little bit easier for us. So we'll ask PIs to, the most important thing is that PIs should be meeting with McKenna and Sarah to make sure that everything is good for funding before you go any further, that you have funding to hire somebody. And then we'll ask you to fill out the form stack, which includes information on like what level the position should be at, what the preferred qualifications, you know, things like that, what the salary will be, what the speed type will be. And then we go through and make the position description. We'll go back and forth with the PI on if it looks good or not. And then we will enter that into HCM and route it through HR. And then as soon as we do that, we will form a search committee. I know something that I am going to be working on is making tracking for search committee members. I feel like a lot of the times we rely on some of the same people a lot. So we really want to make sure that that's getting spread out. So I will be working on that. And then we will send out the official search committee charge for the position once it's approved and posted. And then we check references, make an offer, and hopefully hire people. I'm gonna, let's see, did I put faculty recruitment? Faculty recruitment is something that really goes on. So we can, you can mark that off on your, if you got faculty recruitment. Something that goes on kind of behind the scenes. I mean, right now I don't really have a lot to say about it. I don't know if you want to add anything about faculty recruitment. Obviously we pay attention to when we have faculty leaving, how we can get faculty here, how we can retain our folks and grow them, and mentor them, for faculty positions here as well. And then promotions. Erin and I go through a couple times a year to see about where folks are and meet with PIs on if they want to promote. And we also get notices from PIs too, asking for promotions for their folks. But we do pay attention to that. Usually there's 2 promotion cycles a year. It's rare that we do off-cycle promotions, so it usually comes in either July or January, right? Yeah. Okay. Any questions about any of those? Yes.
I'm confused and I often get the question about when we have an existing employee and we're going to make adjustments, usually enhancements to their position descriptions. Sometimes it requires advertisement solicitation, other times it doesn't. What's the litmus test for when it does and doesn't?
Yep, that's a great question. And I was going to mention that. So if somebody is moving from like, say, a senior PRA to a research scientist, then we have to, because it's a whole new category. If they're moving just from like a PRA 1 to a PRA 2 or 2 to a 3, then we usually don't have to do that.
If you're not changing the position description by more than 25%, that's kind of the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to post it.
25% of the source of support?
No.
Or the scope of the duties.
Right.
Scope, yeah.
But we always check with HR to make sure that we're being compliant with that, but that's the rule of thumb.
Okay. Payroll.
Exciting payroll.
Bingo.
You have to hear about payroll first and then you can pick a prize.
I've heard it.
It's kind of a bittersweet win. Okay, so payroll, in case you don't know, is usually processed mid-month. So we can make changes, say, May, the date is next Monday, so the 19th. So we can make changes to funding distributions, we can update leave until that date. Once I enter those time cards I was talking about before for all of you, then May is set. And we'd have to go back and do a PET to move that time behind the scenes. So Lisa does not want to hear any more about PET. So we're not going to discuss that today, but this is the way that we do. We have a little bit of flexibility is what I'm saying. It doesn't start on the first of the month. So we do have student and temp employees. They're not paid monthly. I think all of you are paid monthly. Students and temps are paid bi-weekly, so they have bi-weekly payroll, so they have to actually have timesheets where they say, I worked these hours, and then they send them to me and we get them entered into the payroll system. But I did tell you before when we talked about my leave that you still do have a timesheet, even though you never see it. And you do have a timesheet. If you went into your records through the CU portal, you would see that you have a timesheet for every month. It reflects the leave that you took that month. And so that's all deducted in a special way behind the scenes of the university. For you, it's seamless through my leave. You enter your leave and nothing, you don't have to think about it again. But on the back end, that comes out of a special speed type that is where that information or that money is pooled and it comes out of there instead of off the project. So exempt versus non-exempt, we don't need to go into a lot of detail. I think all of you are exempt employees. That means you get your salary. You probably work more than 40 hours a week, but you get your salary because you do the job till the job's done. If you're an hourly person, you work the hours that you work and you bill the time that you work. If you make under a certain amount, so the threshold for exempt versus non-exempt is a salary threshold, not a time or an FTE threshold. So at any FTE, if you're below, I can't remember what the threshold is off the top of my head, it's in the low 50s, 50,000 or less, then you become a non-exempt employee. That means you could potentially work overtime. Do we ever have overtime at CAIANH on federal grants? Anybody want to take a guess? We never have overtime, so you're actually not eligible for overtime here, but technically from the university standards you would be, and that is a different process, but it doesn't impact any of you, but just to have an awareness that does exist. We review payroll every month. So after that mid-month cutoff, we wait for it all to be processed at the university, and then we go into the payroll system and we make sure everybody got paid the right amount. Sometimes people don't get paid the right amount. They get overpaid or underpaid for different reasons. Usually if they're on leave of some sort, they might have had some leave deducted that wasn't supposed to be, but we keep track of that. Or sometimes people have additional pay. But just so you all know, we pay attention to that every month to make sure everybody is receiving the right amount of money. But we also encourage you to check your own paycheck. Probably you see what ends up in your checking account and you know roughly what it should be, but you should be checking your payroll pay stub every month just to make sure that you were paid properly. Okay.
All right, how do we want to keep going?
Yeah,
with
go ahead,
these?
sir.
I was debating about where to bring this up, but I've gotten questions about student hires. We've had a number of student hires. We historically have had temps, but not recently that come to mind. So what are some of the major points of guidance around student employment and temps?
Yeah, they're kind of two different buckets. Actually, we have a temp right now, and Johnson's a temp for us right now. So I'll let Jen talk about that. I can just say students are pretty easy to hire. We hire them through a different system called Handshake, which is we can post jobs there and then they get hired through our system. They're usually hired as temp staff. And it's fairly straightforward for us. We can usually get them hired within a couple of weeks. And they can stay with us for the length of their appointment. So that could be a year, it could be 2 years, could be 4 years. And they're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week during the school year and 40 hours in non-school time, so breaks in summer. Do you wanna talk about temps?
Sometimes we have students in mind, other times it's a free-for-all, right?
Right, and you are allowed to do a direct hire of a student. If you know someone you wanna
Yep.
hire, you're allowed to hire them. You don't have to post it.
Is there a place where those rates are?
The student rates,
Yeah, where is that? I'm assuming it's fairly open and available.
there's a student employee handbook, so it depends on the type of student. If it's a student hourly, I think the rates are in there. If it's a graduate student assistant, those rates are much, much higher.
Okay,
We have one of those right now, but I can't think of another one we've had recently. So it's sort of a rare situation, but depends on the level you're hiring. But yeah, we can definitely get you those rates.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know that I have much to say about temps, except for they only want you to hire temps for, it's a 9-month appointment, and you can't go over that. If you do, then you have to look at making it a more permanent position. And then there's a time in which they can't be a temp before they would be able to be eligible to be temp again.
Can't just go from temp appointment to temp appointment in the same department.
Yeah. Okay, Spiro
Oh,
gets to pick a prize.
Spiro gets to pick a prize.
Diagonals were okay, right?
Yes.
Diagonals were okay.
Why you gotta say that?
Did you get a bingo too, Lisa?
Yeah, yes, just what I was gonna say. You.
How do we?
Should we make them arm wrestle for a prize?
Thumb wrestling?
You
How do-
know how to.
How do we want to
50,
continue?
60 native students stand up and swear, right?
Not another winner. Hopefully.
They can pick up anybody. Just keeping, I guess, just keep going.
Okay,
Said how long, you have to do like 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
And.
all right, funding distribution. Is that?
Okay, funding distributions, mark that off really quickly. We update these every month. Almost everybody here needs tweaks to their funding distribution every month. Not everybody. But we pay attention to it on a month-to-month basis. And that's McKenna, Sarah, and I. We just did it yesterday. And it is a lot of work to get it right. And it takes a lot of time to do it. That's why we ask you all to make your best estimates, or your supervisor to make their best estimates on your smart sheet, your funding distribution smart sheet by the 10th of the month, because we're bound by that mid-month payroll cutoff. So we have between the 10th and that cutoff to get those entered in properly. Not doing it properly means the salary gets allocated to the wrong speed type, and then we have to fix it behind the scenes, and we like to avoid that. They should, though, accurately represent the work you're doing. So keep that in mind. That's an important part of this, is even though we're tweaking it, it should actually accurately represent the work you're doing in a given month. So you have to get out in front of it and plan a little bit. We just asked PIs to go through and project for FY26, which starts in July, for all of their employees. It's gonna change, but we wanna have a best estimate of where people are gonna be, their funding when it goes through. Do you have a question here? Yeah.
Yeah. My understanding and this might just be for some. This is a mean question. But I've heard different conflicting things around like the teaching funding distribution, like it should all be taken in those months that you're teaching. But I've also heard like, it should be across the entire year. And so I've just gotten conflicting, so.
I could not give you advice on that.
Okay.
Since we're not a teaching unit, I would recommend you talk to someone in CBH about that. I couldn't recommend it. What you should do.
What's the difference between the discussion of funding distributions and incomes?
Yeah, so your funding distribution drives that certification. So what's in your EPER is taken 3 times a year from an average of what was in your funding distribution over those months. And you have to go in, this is for people who are on federal grants. You have to go in 3 times a year and certify, yeah, I actually did work these hours on these projects. And for the most part, they should be right, because we're going in every month and we're adjusting them to make sure that they're right. Every once in a while, they're not right for people who will remain nameless, but sometimes they're, they need to be adjusted behind the scenes. But most of you have fairly straightforward funding distribution. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna add that funding distributions are looking forward, so you're kind of predicting what you're gonna work that month, and then EPERs are certifying backwards.
That's exactly right, from the month. months prior. So, yeah, you should receive an email in those, so there's a summer, fall, and a spring. EPR, and they will really get after you, and I will get after you if you haven't completed it, so the university needs it to close their books. FTE change is different than funding distribution. The funding distribution is just how your salary is allocated. FTE is what amount are you working? Are you 100% funded? Are you 80% funded? Are you 60%? Sometimes you need to change that. You should go into your funding distribution sheet and there's a link to change your FTE. You just fill out that form, or your supervisor can fill out that form if they know that you're having a funding change. That is something that takes extra work and has to be done before that payroll cutoff. So please be aware of that if you have a funding change.
Okay. This is gonna count for 2 boxes, by the way, employee
yeah.
appreciation and milestone celebrations. Bingo?
You said you never win.
I know.
I don't really have much to say about this, except for we really want to make sure that everybody does feel appreciated, because we do appreciate everything that you guys do here at CAIANH. So we do try to celebrate that at least once a year. And also any milestone celebrations, like I said, we're gonna have one coming up for some recent graduates that are staff here. And we were kind of joking this morning about how people outside of the university or outside think that we just like party all the time and spend all this federal money. Well, we spend our own money for these things. So it doesn't come out of any grants or anything. So it's out of our pocket. So yeah, just want to make that clear. And if you have like, a lot of times we won't know, like if you're a PI and you have somebody that's working on your staff that's like graduating and we don't know about that, please let us know so that we can make sure to celebrate them. Because we're not always on top of those things. Okay, let's see, skill development. Oh wait, is that it?
Professional development.
Huh?
This one?
Sure, we could do professional development.
Professional development is something that we're building out. We want to be able to hone in on people's skills here. The PRAs especially have an incredible skill set that is sometimes untapped, and a lot of potential that we want to allow people to specialize. That's not always the nature of our funding. We're not always able to do it, but when we are, we want to provide space to do that. Jen and I are always available to provide supplemental supervision to anybody who thinks that they need it, or your supervisor. If you're a supervisor, you're welcome to share any supervisee that you think would benefit from it. Jen and I were PRAs here for a long time, and so we know a few things about being a PRA here, and can try to help you identify skills, but also upcoming opportunities for funding or for collaboration. Where you might be able to engage your skill set, continue your education, training that's available through the university and outside the university. And just providing some quasi mentoring, especially for PRAs, but also for staff and anybody who's looking for it. And we're really trying to cultivate skill sets and think more strategically about, in the future, where can we plug people in places where they want to be plugged in. So if we ever are able to turn a corner and get that far advanced in our funding and think about what are the skill sets we have at CAIANH? Do we have evaluators? Do we have people who are really good with quantitative analysis? We want to be able to plug people into the skills that they have. And there is a wide variety. We did collect a few years ago a list of PRAs and the education that they have, the training that they have, and what they identified as their own skill sets. And it's pretty vast. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a lot of different skill sets here. We want to be able to use that as much as possible. So this is just to let you know that we have this available. You can reach out to Jen and I anytime, and we will make time to meet with you one time or ongoing basis, whatever you need.
Some great recent examples include Sarah and Lisa's support for them, if you'd like to mention that. That's it's not just new skills, it's the enhancement of existing skills in a progressive fashion.
Yeah, they both participated in training through NCURA. Do either of you want to just share what you did?
Yeah, mine was a financial research administration workshop, so it was like a 2-day intensive where I kind of got an overview of most of the things that I do. Yeah. Lisa?
Mine was similar, probably, I wouldn't say, probably a step below. For like entry level. Yeah,
And it was department focused. Right?
Yeah.
And then there's also a
then I-
financial certification through the university.
Yeah.
Didn't require resources, but it required us to make space for Sarah to be able to be there for us. Were you gonna say something else?
Oh, I also went to the annual conference.
You're right.
Did you do something on Trivial Pursuit?
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
That's definitely a skill building area.
Yeah.
Okay, years of service. Every year, August, September, whenever the quarterly falls, the first one in the fall, we do a recognition of people who are having milestone anniversaries. From the university's perspective, that's 5, 10, 15, and so on years. And so we do recognition with a certificate and a small gift. We also add names to plaques in the lobby in the rotunda. If you all haven't seen those, you can take a look, and if your name isn't up there, it will be hopefully soon. And we move people from 5 to 10 to 15 years along the way, and some people have been here a long time, right, Rhonda? So we want to make sure that we honor people for their time here.
All right, additional pay and MOUs. Let's see.
Ooh, wake up, everybody.
Oh.
Can you even see this slide?
No.
Just, you just
Try
look at the
really
dollars.
hard.
I got like.
So payments, additional pay and MOUs, this is payments that you get for doing work that's kind of above and beyond your job description. So often we have people who are doing work for other departments and they're getting paid. This is just a way that we do that. We usually set up a memorandum of understanding. That's typically the case for faculty. It's a little bit different for staff, but we can also set up an MOU for them. And it takes a little bit of time to complete. So that's my only statement to you all is if you have another department that you're working with and they want to pay you, make sure you just reach out to CAIANH HR early so we can make sure to set that up. It requires 5 or 6 signatures to get those approved. And then of course, they're subject to the payroll deadline. So that's the only message there if that impacts you.
We actually use this mechanism for a bit.
We do. We probably process 2 of them a month. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we had 2 more bingos, by the way.
Oh, pass the box.
I have some stuff in that bag
Oh,
to give away. Okay, onboarding. Some folks have recently been through this process. And we're just talking about HR onboarding. So what Erin and I do is go over a broad overview of CAIANH, do a building tour, take care of all the necessary documents, I-9s, W-4s, things like that. We go through, walk through the UCD portal and go through my leave, the benefits stuff, remote work request forms, go through all of the required trainings for the university and the new employee orientation we set up for new employees. And then there's other trainings. Some people have other required trainings that are broader, so we include those, tailor those to each onboarding for each person. Go through fiscal trainings with Sarah and probably McKenna now too. Cultural competence training, Jaylee is working more on that. So that's something that is kind of in process. And then HIP will do an IT orientation, get them all set up with IT stuff for new people. And then we do a warm handoff to their supervisor. We also try to make sure that we're introducing new folks to others. So we try to do lunches to welcome people and walk them around, introduce them. And yeah, I don't know anything else about.
Well, just, I would say this is something we were really asked to work on. Like when Jen and I became in these roles, and it's something we really tried to focus on. There's a lot more to build out, but you know, it's come a long way in the last 2 years.
It has, and I think it's something that we do want to make improvements to. This is something I will say that came up a lot in my strategic planning hub is onboarding, especially for retention, that folks feel that onboarding is really like the first most important step in retaining folks. So yeah, Any questions about onboarding?
Can you talk a little bit about the remote work request? We had an internal CAIANH remote work request protocol and procedures pre-COVID. Then the university, did the blanket one, and then it's been gradually morphing since then. Where are we at with that in the general understanding, and how do we navigate those university as well as center expectations?
Yeah, so after COVID, it was like, are we gonna come back? Are we not gonna come back? You all know, I mean, we were like, it was just a limbo. Finally, the university was like, the schools have to make their own decisions, and the dean at the time said, have to be back 1 day a week, at least. Everybody has to be here 1 day a week unless you're officially a remote employee. And so some of us, Jared, you were on it, Lisa, maybe you were on it, that remote work or flexible workspace subcommittee. We developed some guidance because this was also something coming back from COVID that was really hard to manage and something that people wanted us to improve on. What does it mean to be to have a flexible work location, to be a remote employee? So we tried to define those things, but we also wanted to retain a sense of like, we're a group that gets together and knows each other, which pre-COVID was not an issue. We were here 4 or 5 days a week, most of us. And so we, as a subcommittee, worked pretty hard over several months to build out this document. And that was what you were referencing, Spiro. And then the process is outlined in that document, the flexible workspace document, but there is also a flexible workspace agreement that you and your supervisor fill out every year around your performance evaluation. It just says, these are the days I'd like to work remotely. These are the setup that I have at home to be able to work. I'm responsible. If things change, I can come in, those types of things. You've all seen it. So that's the CAIANH process, and then it goes to EC. We keep a list of who's working when, and then there's a second step where we share that list with the School of Public Health. Previously, they had a smart sheet. They've essentially done away with that now. But we share that with the School of Public Health. They have not made a move to change that 1 day a week, or maybe I should say they're sort of ignoring the remote work situation right now. Nobody's pressing them. We have heard, Spiro, I know you and I have talked about this. We have heard that the university, so not the school necessarily, but the university may push to have people here more often. So up to 3 days a week. I just haven't seen or heard anything formal on that, but we heard it could be coming. And so that might change things.
Do we anticipate that to be much more of a visible thing with like the renegotiated like F&A rates that they're about to enter in? I'm assuming that's part of the calculus. So
Yeah. Yeah.
How does it get factored into the F&A rates? And by the way, we are right now in the university renegotiating the F&A
it's
rates.
already started.
Yeah, it's already started. In fact, Amy Gannon spoke to that at length at the last research town hall. Another one's coming up next week, by the way.
Next
Encourage
Wednesday.
everybody, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and how the remote work factors into that is space allocation, space utilization is a big piece of that formula. And so you'll see that we get particularly vigilant about and public about names on doors and these kinds of things, and making sure we're singing from the same page, because they have auditors come through each of the buildings and doing visual examinations of occupancy.
Yeah. And every year, each office has a code, and each space in a building has a code, depending on how it's used. And they want to try to measure how we're changing that, how we're sharing offices. If we have a faculty landing space that has its own category. So every year I go through every office and every room in this building and code it. Now I just do it, whatever's changed from last year. So most of them stay the same, but some change. We have different people who are using building space here. But also the second part of that, which is coming right in a month, I think, is that we assign speed types to every office too. So they want to know how these people are funded who are in these offices. So, and that all feeds into this F&A calculation and our usage calculations.
And one piece that doesn't feed, but we're very cognizant of, is each of the A and B jacks in each of the offices come out of our monies. And so we have to allocate those monies. And so I think just in the early stages of COVID, we did massive reallocation
Yeah.
of support for A and B jacks. And now, since people are coming back, we're re-examining that again.
Yeah, I think HIP is on your list to kind of go through. There's not very many people who have phones anymore, but it is a cost to us.
I have a question about that. I'm asked all the time to put a number down for CAIANH, and I put my personal cell phone down because I don't have anything else. Like, what number are we supposed to be putting down for official CAIANH communications?
We don't have an official number anymore. We used to.
And so.
So it's a good question. I think you're doing it right. There isn't an official number. If you need an office phone, you should let us know.
I mean, I don't want that, but.
And I have my phone, like my office phone set up on my computer, so if someone calls
That's
me.
Yeah.
That's another thing, yeah, you can do. Just do it through Teams.
Mhm.
People can call you through Teams.
But through like.
Okay, I know we're running short
Yeah,
on
yeah.
time, so let me just. That quarterlies.
Quarterlies, everybody here has been to a quarterly. Lunch is always provided by Spiro. Thank you, Spiro. That doesn't come out of our department funds. It's provided by him every month or every quarter. We have 4 parts of the meeting. We do shout outs. We're working on getting people to come prepared for those shout outs. And that's where those notes of kindness might feed into that. We usually have a game or activity. We do learning about a project or something going on at the university. Then we do announcements just to get everybody in the loop. Next one is June 25th at 11:30. It's a really important one. They're all really important, but hopefully you can make it. We're doing the strategic planning kickoff that day. And of course, we'll have lunch. There is a planning committee. If you want to be part of it, just email me. We'd love to have more help with that planning on what we'll do at each.
I think.
Okay. For retirements and separations from the university, this was also something we were asked to work on. We've set up exit interviews and transition meetings for people who are leaving. We do all the basic stuff, collecting equipment, etc. Also trying to make sure people are aware of their leave payouts. If you leave the university, you get all of your vacation leave paid out to you in a lump sum up to 352 hours. Isn't that amazing? It can be a big chunk of change. So it's based on your hourly rate and the number of hours that you have. And that is a calculation that I do behind the scenes, and then I'll let you know. For sick leave, you don't get any of it if you leave the university unless you retire from the university. And then you get up to, I want to say 250 hours for people who are retiring. It just doesn't happen very often that we have that. So something for you all to keep in mind.
They do tax it though, don't they?
They tax it.
Like
So,
a cash bonus, it's like 30%.
but you can have it sent directly into an investment through the benefits office. So if you this comes up for you, just let me know. We'll hook you up with them and they'll take that right out and you won't get taxed, at least not now. Okay, quickly, form stack. We have a form stack for HR. We're building it out. Right now, it's just if you need a new position, we've already said, talk to the grant manager before you come to the form stack and make sure that you have money to hire someone. That's really important. Form stack, we will put information in there like salary bands. So you can know at what level you want to hire someone at, and job descriptions, information about job descriptions. We're going to try to keep expanding it. Maybe we'll put something in there for promotions. We'll see what works. But you can always go to the form stack, just like the physical form stack, for information, in addition to.
And it's on intranet, right?
Yes, so it's the same form stack route as the fiscal, it's just one layer out. So if you go to the intranet site, you can click on it and choose HR. Next, coffee and conversation, June 11th, purchasing goods and supplies. There won't be any bingo, so it won't be nearly as fun.
Yeah, not as fun as we are these days. I
We should do a Price is Right.
Yes.
We should go on a field trip.
We should get that $100 bills. Any other questions?
let's go to Staples. Let's figure out what we can buy and what we can't.
Okay, think of questions, you can always email us, CAIANH@ucdenver.edu.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you, Monica.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you. The game was fun.
Good.